It's an ambush.
Oh my God, it's an ambush!
It's an ambush!
Of course!
Good afternoon and or evening, everyone. Welcome to a ambush stream on it's Monday, isn't it? Good gravy. Busy day so far. Busy day. And the week's only just started. But yes, welcome to an ambush stream. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Monday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. Came across this video posted by NBC, or their, what is their subsidiary thing called? Oh, it's some outlet they have on YouTube for, like, off-the-cuff reports on different things. And it's somebody talking about how they're going to flee the country, everybody. Oh no, we're about to lose one of our own to parts unknown. I'm not quite sure where the chief subject of this report is headed to. I'm assuming Canada, but you never know. But beyond one person's story, it's also a report on trends after the re-election of Donald Trump. And once again, for the second time, people are fleeing America because they just can't take it anymore. Oh my gosh. But I thought we'd look at this, well, it's just such a childish thing. It's so childish. Dejection, defection. I lost the election. The person I wanted to win didn't, so I'm going to flee the country. Seems a bit overdramatic, don't you think? I think so. But we'll get to that momentarily. But first, who's joining me on this surprise ambush stream? Also simulcasting on X, on the off chance anybody on X is watching this or sees this posted. If you could retweet this, because to the best of my knowledge, you can't pre-schedule X stuff in a way that you can share it out before it happens. Or at least if you can, I haven't figured that part out yet. But either way. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Housefur143, good evening. Jaeger Pony, good evening to you. The Alexander, good evening. The Luke Skywalker 2, hello to you. Faustonia, good evening. Did I say Jaeger Pony? I did say Jaeger Pony. Well, you got two for the price of one. There you go. Mike Savage, Blarg. Who else is here? Shady Grin, good evening to you. Kiro Soldier, good evening. Old Guy Gamer, good afternoon, morning, evening to you, Old Guy Gamer. Tall Person, hello to you, and thank you, Tall Person, for sharing the show out on X. Appreciate it. K-Shoal, good evening. John Trioxin, good evening. Resolute Germ, good evening or afternoon. I keep saying evening. I'm so used to doing this at like Thursday nights for TED Excellence or something. Oh well, I'll just go with it. Robert Pincus, good evening. Unfair Ophelia, good evening. Dexter's Killer Lab, good evening to you. Daryl Odell, good evening. Angelverse, hello. Seftus Wolf, hello to you. Lurking Gopher, good evening. And also Miranda Stone, good evening to you. You guys know about Miranda Stone, don't you? Faithless, good evening. This is Kyle, hello. And Okie Native, good evening to you. And finally, Luna Moona. Or Luna Moon? Luna Moon. Luna Moon, I live on the moon. Wait, that might come across incorrectly, given the context. Hello, Luna. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, hello to you. All right, so anyway, if anybody is there that I missed, or if you're lurking, or if you're in the future, good evening. Let's get into it. So this is a report from NBC's outlet. What's it called again? Off Base or something? Let me just get that right before I delve too deeply into this. I don't want to miscredit where this is coming from, because I give my sources. I don't take credit for things I have not done. Stay tuned. That's what it is. It used to be called Left Field, strangely enough. But they rebranded a while back, so I keep thinking it was Left Field. No, now it's called Stay Tuned, NBC's little special reports YouTube channel. This runs just over 7 minutes, and we're about to learn about the latest exodus from America because Trump.
When it comes to the American dream, I feel that I lived it.
Really? Already? Okay. You seem awfully young to have already lived the American dream, but all right.
And it's literally the reason that I left.
The American dream is literally the reason you left. Okay.
We were in our 3-story townhome. We
Wow.
had the trucks. I was in my big girl corporate 6-figure job. We had the thing.
Wow. A 3-story townhome, a 6-figure job, your trucks. Dang. What possibly went wrong here?
And it wasn't a dream. It was more of like a fuzz, really.
A fuzz. Let me turn down my background music here just a smidge. Actually, I think I might just turn it off altogether just for the sake of clarity. Okay, so let me get this straight. You had a 3-story townhome, a 6-figure job, so making at least $100,000 a year. You had trucks, etc., I guess. And it wasn't a dream, it was a fuzz. If you don't want that kind of fuzz, I'll take it.
32-year-old Bianca Lynch is a full-time digital nomad.
A what? Wait. A full-time digital nomad? Steve Rogers, is that you? On the TikTok or something?
And while she's always known travel would be a part of her life, after the results of the 2024 election, she says she's making it permanent.
Okay, 32 years old? Okay, 32 years old, digital nomad, which I have no idea what that means. I'm assuming it's because you can walk around with a selfie stick and record yourself. Is that like an IRL streamer? Is that a digital nomad? But she had a 3-story townhouse, so how nomadic could she be?
It's very, very hard for us to see ourselves coming back and being in this country, having to be around that many people who felt that is someone who needs to be in power.
Wow. Okay, so you're a bigot.
She's not alone in looking to leave the country because of the results of the election.
I'm aware. So, is it Canada? Are you guys headed to Canada? Because obviously it's so much better in Canada.
Here are some of the easiest ways to leave the country as an American.
FedEx.
I'm going to share some of the easiest visas that you can get that'll probably get you out of the country in the next year.
The easiest visas I can get. Oh boy, they'll get me out of the country the next year. Oh, okay.
I'm moving again.
Oh,
Yay!
again?
Google searches for digital nomad visas, how to move to Canada, and best countries to move to all peaked the day after the election.
Digital nomad. Okay, I'm obviously a boomer at this point. What is a digital nomad? I mean, what's the generally accepted definition? A digital nomad is someone who works remotely while traveling the world. Okay, using technology and the internet to work from anywhere. Okay, that's it. Okay, so she's got a 6-figure job that does not require her to be in a fixed location. Hey, nice work if you can get it, I guess. But a digital nomad visa. I'm assuming that's different than like a regular work visa because you're not technically taking a job in the country you're landing in, right? Digital nomad visa is a permit that allows people to work remotely in a foreign country for longer than a typical tourist visa. Okay, to qualify, you usually need to work for a company or employer outside of the host country, all right? Have a business that can be managed from anywhere, meet certain eligibility criteria such as proof of health insurance, minimum income, a clean criminal record. Okay. Well, then I guess technically I could get a digital nomad visa because, save for the most rare of occasions, I can work from a laptop. Huh. I'll have to look into that. Maybe. Not because I want to flee America, because I've lived the American dream and it was meh or something. A 6-figure job, really? Okay.
I would say that right now, since the election, the biggest trend is people looking for a plan B, no pun intended.
No pun intended, but you'll take it.
But they're looking for a place where they can go if a certain line in the sand is crossed.
A certain line in the sand is crossed. What exactly do they think is going to happen? I guess that'd be my first question. Like, if you stay in the United States, you know, the country that presumably the business you'll be continuing to make money from exists if you're looking for a digital nomad visa. What is the concern? What is the fear that you think Donald Trump is going to bring that would make it untenable for you to live in America any longer? I wonder if we'll hear any theories on that.
Jen Barnett and her husband moved to Mexico from Birmingham, Alabama after the 2016 election.
Oh, okay. And?
In 2022, they founded Expatsy to help fellow Americans travel and move abroad.
Oh, she's turned it into a business, has she? Let me help you flee Trump's America. I don't know. Their interface is awfully red.
Our site really first took off when Roe versus Wade was overturned. And that's when I turned in my notice at my job and realized it could be more than a weekend project.
When you were working in Mexico after the 2016 election?
Jen says her site saw 10 months worth of traffic in the 2 weeks after the election, and the top reasons people say they want to leave has changed.
Okay, all right. So what are the reasons they want to leave?
With 72% of visitors to their website citing the U.S. being too conservative as the reason they want to move.
The U.S. is too conservative as compared to what? Too conservative. This reminds me of just how little I've moved ideologically over the last, 25 years. But like the rest of the world's moved around me or something. And now I back in the early 2000s, I was considered a liberal by my stances on things. Now I'm like center right. Have you ever had the experience of standing on the shore next to a moving river? And for a minute, maybe, you get the sensation that you're moving, but the river's sort of standing still kind of thing. Like the land underneath you is moving. You get that sort of reverse sensation of movement from the rushing river and the land you're standing. That's kind of what I've felt like in sort of a socio-political sense over the last several years as things keep going more and more Looney Tunes. And maybe it's in part due to the immersion I've had in the subject matter I've looked at on my channel over the years. But man, it really feels like people don't know what conservative is anymore. Or the definition has changed so drastically that, like I say, a liberal from 20 years ago is now a conservative. And not having changed at all, really, on some fundamental beliefs. Derek LaRue, holy cats. Thank you, Derek, so much. It's very generous of you as always. Appreciate your continued support. Hope you're having a good evening and hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Also, a couple more hellos here. Peter, good afternoon. Cannibalistic Wizard, hello. Spud Gun, good evening to you. Snow Pilot, good evening. They do know that being a patsy is not a good thing, right? Guess that was too obscure a reference for these tools. Oh, a patsy. Yeah. Lee Harvey. Oswald.
Which she says is a 30% increase from before the election.
What would you say your life is like living under the first Trump presidency?
Living under the first. Oh, God, we were all so oppressed, guys. Oh, the pressure, the giant boot on all of our necks during the first Trump presidency. I was told over and over and over how terrible it was. And yet my personal economy was great. We weren't getting ourselves involved in any new wars as a result. And I had nothing but entertainment day after day after day for Lords of the Night and elsewise. I don't know. It was pretty bad.
It felt like that administration gave a lot of people the permission to essentially say and do whatever they wanted.
Oh my God, freedom of speech and expression. Oh, how terrible. Someone please save us. Or do you want to give us some examples of what you're talking about? And what was happening during the course of the Biden administration that made it such a paradise elsewise?
I was always aware that I was a Black woman because that's the life of being a Black woman in the U.S.
If you say so.
But I was hyper aware during that time.
You know why you were hyper aware during that time? Because those two elements of your makeup were turned into an identity unto itself. Those two things were valued as though they meant something about your character by DEI advocates and the Biden administration and everybody else before it. I don't know if you know this. Identity politics was in full swing just before and certainly during the Trump administration, but he wasn't the one pushing it. It's okay.
I always tell people there has not been one country I've ever been to where I didn't feel safe because I was Black outside of the United States.
Really? Huh. Sounds like a you problem, doesn't it? Tack Alpaca, thank you for the how's it going, Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Ooh, there's a key for damn Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Attack Alpaca. Appreciate it. And thank you, Spudgun. Have some pennies for Christmas. Well, thank you. That's a lot of pennies. Thank you, Spudgun. Also, I've changed politically. I'm somewhere to the right of Pinochet. They created the monster they were so afraid of. I've gone over the years. I've gone over again and again in my mind some of the fundamental sort of hot button social topics and positions on things. And I have not changed much at all on anything really fundamental. The only thing I can think of, just for example, when I started becoming more sort of politically, socially aware of things in the early 2000s, let's say, the things that were vital at the time were the war in Iraq, George W. Bush, abortion, legalizing pot, same-sex marriage. And I was against the war in Iraq. I didn't like George W. Bush. I was for legalizing pot. I was, and still am doing. I always have to categorize this. I'm pro-choice, but I'm not pro-abortion. That's a nuance some people don't really seem to understand. But it's kind of a difficult subject to talk about. I'm against the death penalty. I mean, by all rights, I should be considered some kind of liberal, I guess. I would think, at least given my definition or my understanding of it back in the day. But on so many other things, I'm much more pragmatic, that I guess that makes me a conservative. I remember the day, this was a few years ago now, that after one episode of Lords of the Night, I had two different people on Twitter accusing me of something. One called me a sufferer of Trump derangement syndrome, and another called me a neocon, all over the same episode of Lords of the Night. And I thought, well, if someone can't tell where I sit on the binary spectrum, apparently, that we sit on now with no nuance, then maybe I'm doing something right. I don't know. But anyway, thank you, Spudgun. I'm against bad ideas, or those things that I perceive as bad ideas, but I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. I know I'm able to have my mind changed if somebody gives me a good argument. But in this case, I'm still not quite sure I understand. If you don't have a fixed location you have to work at, you're making 6 figures a year, your sense of feeling safe in America as a Black woman, why? What causes her, and I hope she explains, of all the places in the world, what causes her to feel the most unsafe in America just because Donald Trump is president?
Bianca grew up in North Carolina. 5 years ago, she took an extended trip abroad.
I did 4 countries in 4 months. I did Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico.
Okay. I've never been so well traveled, but to each their own.
I was in awe, and I honestly was transformed as a person.
Great. What do you do again?
She came back to the U.S. for a couple of years, got married, and decided to start traveling again, quitting her corporate 9-to-5 lifestyle to share her digital nomad life to her over 21,000 followers.
Okay, so she's like a TikTok influencer or something. I don't know. You know, maybe I should become a TikTok influencer. Is it really that lucrative? Could I really make a 6-figure salary off of just being a live streaming TikTok influencer with never showing my face? Do you think I could do that? That'd be something. Okay. All right. So I like I say, nice work if you can get it, I guess. I don't know why I still to this day, for the most part, don't find the allure of watching someone vlog their life online all that much. I just like family channels and things like that. Like, why?
That we've been working on.
You know, some people who maybe don't agree with the president-elect saying, now is not the time to give up. It's time to invest. It's time to stay here. It's time to focus on our community.
Yeah.
With you leaving, someone with that mindset might be like, are you giving up?
Oh, well, a little bit of mild pushback from the interviewer. And what is our speaker's rejoinder?
Oh, that's fair. I mean,
okay.
I would honestly just ask the question, is it worth it to you to fight the fight?
Is it worth it to you to fight the fight? Well, what exactly does she think is so fundamentally wrong that is beyond fixing, beyond toleration? Is toleration a word? I don't know. But like what? She doesn't feel safe as a black. Why? She has a 3-story townhouse in what looks like a completely sedate suburb. She says she's making or made 6 figures at a corporate job. I don't know how much she's making as a digital nomad. But either way, what exactly makes her feel unsafe simply for being what she is?
Do you have that fight in you? Because honestly, I don't have it.
The fight to what? What is wrong?
Instead of trying to change an entire country,
what?
When I can simply remove myself and go somewhere else and by default be happier, I'm choosing peace.
Okay. I still don't understand what the big fear factor is here, but yeah, if you have the ability to make a living while wandering the earth digitally, okay. Where is she expecting to go for the long term? Or is she just going to continually country hop with new visas every 6 months or whatever the limit is?
Bianca just spent a few months in Colombia with her husband Mel, and now is back home with her sister Felicia, spending part of the holidays with family before packing up again and traveling to South Africa.
South Africa. Okay.
It was tradition, Christmas music, and putting up the tree.
Dang, you ain't have to be like it was tradition. I'm here now.
I mean, it still is.
Well, seems like a really rough life. I don't know, man. It seems like a situation I totally want to flee from. Why?
That's why I said we was gonna do it before you left again, so we could do it together. It's not as fun by myself.
See, apparently there are people out there that follow her specifically for things like this. I guess. NBC, you got something else for me?
So, you said you will not be coming back to the U.S. since Trump won the last election. Have you told your family this?
I would hope so.
Yes and no.
What? Why?
I know that our family knows that we plan on being abroad for a while. I don't think they understand that we don't plan on living permanently in the U.S.
Wait, so you will be coming back to the U.S.? Which is it? Is this just like an extended wandering holiday, or are you leaving the country? Like I didn't hear anything about renouncing citizenship or anything. So you're just taking like a 4-year walkabout? Is that what this is?
Again, we're just sort of passive aggressively dropping these hints.
Why is that?
I don't know how they will take it. We don't want to hurt anyone. This is one reason why I'm constantly encouraging people to travel, to get out of this misconception of travel is dangerous and the United States is the safest country in the world, because people worry.
Uh, okay, well, I mean, I can't fault her if she can travel and earn a living at the same time somehow with her 21,000 followers. If that makes her a living, or her husband, I wonder what her husband is doing. But okay, and then if J.D. Vance wins the next election, are you just going to have an extended vacation?
These people are asking me questions when I'm live in Vietnam, like, are you safe? Are you safe in Colombia? And I'm like, are y'all safe?
Yeah, because, America is just such a wasteland war zone.
Colombia does have one of the highest rates of firearm homicides.
Yeah, when she said Colombia earlier, I was like, really? You feel safer in Colombia than you do in the United States? Really?
Along with several other North and South American countries and territories.
Yeah, kidnappings, who knows what. We just read a story for the last Sunday stream, not this previous Sunday, but the previous Sunday stream, where like a YouTuber got kidnapped, probably for ransom. What was it, in the Philippines, I think it was? You think that these other countries are safe? The countries that people constantly flee for a better life to America, this lady thinks it's a better situation to live in long term than America? That's bold strategy, Cotton.
But among high-income countries with populations over 10 million, the U.S. is number one for gun violence.
Number one for gun violence. And okay. So I'd have to ask: does our primary subject here, does she have some history with gun violence, or did she have a family member or something? What exactly is fueling her fear, and what does that have to do with Donald Trump? I mean, the rates of gun violence in this country haven't varied all that much under either Trump or Biden. So why didn't she leave under Biden if that was her big concern?
What would you say are some of the push factors that are making you want to leave?
Okay, let's get some details.
The main things that were really pushing us to leave.
Uh-huh.
Outside of politics, outside of the gun violence.
Outside of politics, outside of gun violence. Well, then what's Trump got to do with it? Or his re-election?
Definitely things like the food. As I started learning more about food and nutrition, even like the nutrition labels and all the things that they put into our food, I was like, it makes so much sense. Why?
Food and nutrition is an important aspect in your life. Okay.
These people, and especially people who look like me, are dying from diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure.
There are things you can do and choices you can make to not necessarily eliminate, but mitigate the risks of those things happening to you.
And especially speaking like as someone who like lost their dad to that recently, I was like, this is crazy.
I realize that the quality of food, or like, overly processed food in America is far more prevalent perhaps and far more commonplace than it might be in some other countries. It all depends on what we're talking about. But your personal eating habits and dietary choices are going to affect you wherever you go if you do not have a healthy attitude about those things. I'm just gonna say.
According to the CDC, Black Americans have the second lowest life expectancy at birth of all racial and ethnic groups in the United States.
Oh, okay. So we have a God of the gaps theory of statistical analysis. Why is that? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it culture? Some other I'm not thinking of right now. So she thinks that if she goes to another country, her life expectancy will just shoot up because the average in said country is higher. What about her health habits here to begin with?
Heart disease, stroke, and diabetes disproportionately impact those in the Black community in the U.S.
Disproportionately. So diabetes is racist. Heart disease is racist.
And Black Americans have some of the highest rates of high blood pressure in the world.
Oh, yeah. I think I did a TEDx on this. The word malpractice or something is in the title. It had to do with a guy who claimed that simply the existence of racism gave a guy a blood clot, and he died at 65. And I'm not kidding. That was effectively the guy's argument. So there's this guy who was a highly intelligent academic individual, got a blood clot at 65 and died, and that the blood clot was caused by racism. Is that where we're going?
Some of this can be tied to the number of food deserts and ultra-processed food.
Could be. Yeah. Or, again, personal choices of dietary intake and exercise.
He's always like this.
Uh-huh.
Do you think there's any circumstances where you could see yourself coming back to the U.S.? Let's say in 4 years, there's another president that you do agree with.
Well, it doesn't sound like the president has a whole heck of a lot to do with her excuses or reasons for leaving. And even with your own reporting, it doesn't sound like that. The trends that have been probably true for many, many years before, during, and after Trump, etc. Okay.
The election was not the only reason that
Yeah, obviously so.
we decided to leave the country.
Then why are you... Okay, I've been sold a bill of goods. I was promised that she was leaving because of Trump. But it sounds like that she was thinking about leaving anyway.
Even under people who are not Trump, American culture is still American culture.
American culture, you're correct. American culture is still American culture, even though I've been told several times America doesn't have a culture. And my response to that is, well, American culture is derived from the Constitution. Our culture comes from our rights and the laws that protect those rights and the rights we have to fight for from time to time and have to defend. That's the shared culture amongst Americans. The one thing you can point to that all Americans share is the Constitution. That's where our culture derives from. And everything else, freedom of speech, freedom to express yourself, so on and so forth. So, yeah, American culture is American culture. I challenge you to find that kind of culture with the same rigor in passion and defense in other countries that you've named so far.
It's still the rat race. We're still being fed this food that is just like mass produced.
Then buy better food. You have a 6-figure income. No one is forcing you to eat McDonald's every day. For crying out loud. Buy fresh food. Eat fresh vegetables. They exist. They are available. I can go the 3 blocks across the street now to the grocery store and get myself some fresh carrots and lettuce and everything else. Make myself a salad. You're not wanting for resources, as far as I can tell, to eat fresh food and reduce your processed food intake. What are you talking about?
Still all these people who are living in survival mode, and
you're not. You're a digital nomad making a 6-figure salary every year. What? I don't know. I'm struggling to find something to complain about on her behalf, given the scenario that she set up for us.
I just feel like at this point, it's mental health over everything.
What?
It's very hard to imagine coming back after experiencing something way better.
And that's it. That's the story. That's the report. Oh my gosh. I was expecting something a little bit more, I guess, melodramatic on the political end, but we didn't even get that. Boy, NBC, stay tuned. You sold me a bill of goods. I was hoping for some like crazy sob story of like, well, now that Trump's been elected, my rights for this, that, and the other are going to be taken away, or I'm going to be deported, or people that I love are going to be this, that, and the other. Not even that. It's just like, I don't like the food here. And like, you know, the American dream is like done. So I'm like, go hang out in Colombia. It's so much better in Colombia. I'm like gonna like die here if I stay because of heart disease and guns. Well, this is the second video I've covered where some person or persons have been threatening, quote unquote, to leave the country because of Trump's election or changes in the law. The previous one was the gender defectors from CNN, the two parents who were constantly running away from the law in order to continue experimenting on their son in hormone and God knows what else ways. You can find that video posted on my YouTube channel, one of my now relatively rare scripted videos. But yeah, so there you go. That's one story of leaving the country because Trump, but not really, and reasons that don't make any sense either way. But I don't know what I expected from NBC. I guess I shouldn't have expected much, and I guess I got what I paid for. But before I wrap things up, see what you guys have to say. Scanner Daffley, she literally goes from one resort to the next and confusing that with the actual culture of the country she is taking advantage of. How typical. Yeah, it didn't look like she was really living amongst the masses in the footage that we saw. She's just on a perpetual vacation, a perpetual resort tour. Yeah, poor thing. JB, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Speaking of journeys, I've been watching the 1986 TV version of Journey to the West. It's great, but some of the graphics are terrible. Still very amusing. I don't know that off the top of my head. Is that like a Pioneer type show or something? 1986. We were just talking about a movie from 1986 on Midnight's Edge in the Morning this morning. Highlander from 1986. Let's see. Faithless, mingling with tourists. Yeah, with fellow tourists or fellow expats. We didn't focus too much on the Patsies. The Patsies website or whatever. I wanted to hear more about that. Like, how long exactly do they try to get... I mean, what do they do to help facilitate people fleeing the United States? Let's see. I too thought it was originally about cowboys, but no. Oh, okay. Well, I remember a TV show about cowboys from, I think it was 1987 or something. It was called Outlaws. Outlaws. And it was all about this group of cowboys that somehow got caught in a storm and they traveled through time from 1887 to 1987 or something like that. And they were like men out of time. And they were all anachronistic and stuff. I think it had all of like 3 episodes or something before it got canceled. But I was really excited as a kid. I was like, wow, time-traveling cowboys. Yeah, Outlaws. Nobody remembers Outlaws. I think there's so many like one-shot different shows from so long ago. There was one, I don't remember the name of it. It was a high-concept show. It was a cop show. But the deal was that it took place in 3 different time periods. It wasn't a sci-fi show so much as it was sort of a compare and contrast social conditions between different eras. And it all took place around this police station that had been put inside an old bakery. And I think the show might have been called The Bakery or something like that. But anyway, so like one... like the first episode or one of the first episodes had to deal with race relations, right? And so there'd be a portion of the show that took place in the 1950s. There'd be a portion of the show that took place in the 1980s. And there'd be a portion of the show that took place in the far distant future of 2010 or something. And so they would show in different ways how the same problem between family bloodline or something else between each segment as they move back and forth between these different eras and how, you know, they all related to one to another. And obviously the one side was speculative and the other ones were more historical. Really high concept show. I think it had like 3 episodes too before it was cancel. Can you guys still hear me? Uh-oh. 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 Something's going on. Oh, no. Okay, well, it's not me. Whatever it is, it's not me. It must be StreamYard or my internet or YouTube or X. I don't know. But now's a good time. Now's a good time to probably wrap things up. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for this, obviously, now experimental stream. Thankfully, it didn't all cut out before I got through the original video. You can find me here Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence, where I go over a TEDx talk or TED talk of interesting subject matter for analysis and commentary. Morning, check out Midnight's Edge. For movies and behind-the-scenes stuff and, you know, people talking about comic books and pop culture and all that good stuff. And I've been completely thrown off my my trail because of technical difficulties. So, with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well-behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to the very thing that I forgot to mention at the top of the show, a link at the top of the chat box to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Please donate to that if you can, but even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, I would appreciate it. And let me know about your thoughts about defecting because of Trump in the comments below, and we'll all have a better day as a result. I think, or something. Anyway, everybody, hope you have a good rest of your Monday and week ahead of you. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.